The Discovery, the deep space monitoring station, vigilant. I drifted silently through the void, its sensors sweeping the darkness between stars. For 300 cycles, the station had maintained its lonely vigil at the edge of Coalition space, watching for threats that never came. Until today. The sensor operator Crix adjusted his 4 optical stalks, focusing on an anomaly in the data stream. The Vorthan's chitinous fingers danced across the control interface as he isolated the signal. What he saw made his respiratory vents whistle in alarm. Commander Zara, we have an unidentified vessel approaching from Sector 7, Crix announced, his voice tight with tension. Energy signature is unlike anything in our database. Commander Zara, a tall Nexari with silver scales that shimmered under the station's artificial lighting, moved to the sensor console with fluid grace. Her species had evolved on a high-gravity world, making her movements in standard gravity appear almost ethereal. She studied the readings, her vertical pupils narrowing. Distance and velocity, she asked, though the numbers on the screen already told a troubling story. 8 light hours out and closing at 0.7 C, Crix reported. That's impossible for any known propulsion system. Even our fastest courier ships can only manage 0.4 C. Zara's tail, usually still as stone when she concentrated, began to twitch. She had seen many things in her 2 decades of service, but nothing like this. The vessel's energy signature pulsed with an irregular pattern that seemed almost organic, yet the mass readings suggested something enormous and definitely artificial. Run it through the recognition protocols, she ordered. Check everything. Check everything. Coalition databases, known pirate configurations, even the ancient archive warnings. Crix's fingers flew across multiple interfaces simultaneously, a benefit of his species' multi-limbed anatomy. Data streams cascaded across the screens, each comparison returning negative until one particular algorithm triggered a match. The result made both officers freeze. Commander, Crix's voice dropped to barely a whisper. The quantum resonance pattern matches theoretical models for human technology. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of electronics. Humans. The word alone carried weight throughout Coalition space. The youngest spacefaring species, discovered only 40 cycles ago when their primitive radio signals reached a survey probe. The Coalition had voted to observe rather than contact, following the non-interference protocols established millennia ago, but the humans had shattered every projection about their development. That's not possible, Zara said, though her tone suggested she knew it was. They shouldn't have font fault a capability for another 200 cycles minimum. The signature is undeniable, Crix insisted. And Commander, look at the configuration analysis. The screen shifted to show a rough outline of the approaching vessel, compiled from gravitational distortion readings. Where Coalition ships favored smooth, ovoid designs that minimized spatial resistance, this vessel was all angles and aggression. Multiple protrusions studded its hull, and its overall shape suggested something built for conflict rather than exploration. Battlecruiser classification, the computer announced in its neutral tone. Offensive capability rating, extreme. Zara's scales shifted to a darker hue, a sign of deep concern among her people. She activated the quantum communicator, knowing this intelligence needed to reach the Coalition Council immediately. As the connection established, she wondered if they were witnessing humanity's first step into the galactic community, or the beginning of something far more troubling. The emergency session of the Coalition Council convened within the hour, a testament to the gravity of the situation. Representatives from 17 species appeared as holograms in the Great Assembly Chamber on Haven Prime, the Coalition's capital world. The ancient chamber, carved from a single massive crystal by the long-vanished architects, hummed with nervous energy. High Counselor Threnex of the Gorvani hegemony called for order, his massive frame dominating even the holographic projections. The Gorvani were the Coalition's military backbone, evolved from pack hunters who had learned to channel their aggressive instincts into protective service. The data is confirmed, Threnex rumbled, his voice resonating through the chamber. A human vessel is approaching our space at unprecedented speed. Initial analysis suggests military configuration. Ambassador Lithia of the Eternal Bloom, representing the plant-based Florens, rustled her leaf-like appendages in distress. How did they advance so quickly? Our sociological models indicated they would need centuries to overcome their internal conflicts before achieving unified space travel. Perhaps our models were wrong, suggested Dr. Urix, the coalition's leading xenobiologist. The elderly Soren's eyes, each capable of independent movement, surveyed the assembly while reviewing data on a separate screen. Humans have consistently defied our predictions. Their biological adaptability alone is remarkable. They thrive in conditions that would kill half the species in this room. Their history concerns me more than their biology, interjected War Master Kron of the Blade Alliance. The insectoid warriors' mandibles clicked in agitation. Every analysis of their transmitted media shows a species obsessed with conflict. Their entertainment celebrates violence. Their history is written in blood. And now they arrive at our doorstep in a warship. High Counselor Threnex raised a massive paw for silence. We must not allow fear to guide our actions. Ambassador Lithia, what do the diplomatic protocols advise? The Florin's chromophores shifted to a pattern indicating deep thought. Standard first contact procedures require a peaceful overture. We should attempt communication before any defensive positioning. And if they're hostile, Kron demanded, that vessel's configuration suggests enough firepower to devastate a colony world. We'd be inviting catastrophe. The debate continued for precious minutes, each species bringing their own perspective and prejudices to the discussion. The Vorthans advocated for immediate defensive deployment, their natural paranoia heightened by the unexpected arrival. The Nexari pushed for a cautious but open approach, their culture valuing honor and direct communication. The mysterious Void touched, who rarely participated in council debates, simply observed with their characteristic silence. Finally, Threnex made a decision that would shape the course of galactic history. We will prepare both responses. Admiral Kor will position the Third Fleet at a safe distance, ready to respond if needed. Meanwhile, we'll dispatch the diplomatic vessel Harmony's Edge to attempt peaceful contact. Ambassador Lithia, will you lead the mission? Florin's entire form shimmered with bioluminescent acceptance. I would be honored, though I request a diverse team. If we're to understand human intentions, we need multiple perspectives. As the council dispersed to their respective duties, none noticed the small figure observing from the public gallery. Zeph, a young trader of mixed heritage, had been waiting to petition for new route licenses when the emergency session was called. What he had heard changed his plans entirely. Humans, the mysterious species from the quarantine zone, were coming, and where others saw danger, Zeph saw opportunity. The Harmony's Edge launched 6 hours later, its sleek hull cutting through space toward the intercept coordinates. The diplomatic vessel was a marvel of coalition engineering, designed to create an atmosphere of peace and welcome. Its hull was transparent in places, showing gardens and living spaces within, demonstrating the coalition's openness. It carried no weapons, only the most sophisticated communication arrays and cultural translation systems ever developed. Ambassador Lithia stood on the observation dome, watching stars wheel past as they accelerated. Her team was assembled. Commander Hexus of the Nexari military, providing tactical assessment. Dr. Urix offering scientific perspective. Cultural specialist Mays, whose species' empathic abilities might prove crucial. And surprisingly, the trader Zeph, who had convinced them his knowledge of fringe communications might be useful. Ambassador, Hexus reported, his scales shifting to indicate concern. We're receiving updated telemetry from Vigilant Eye. The human vessel has altered course. Toward inhabited systems, Lithia asked, fearing the worst. No, Ambassador, it's moving toward the Void Scar. The Void Scar. Even the name sent ripples of unease through the assembled team. It was a region of space where reality itself seemed wounded, a remnant of some ancient catastrophe that predated even the oldest coalition records. Ships that entered rarely returned, and those that did reported instrument failures, hallucinations, and encounters with phenomena that defied scientific explanation. Why would they go there? Urix wondered aloud, his scientific mind already spinning theories. Unless they know something we don't. Before anyone could respond, the communication system activated with an urgency alert. The main screen flickered to life, showing something that should have been impossible. A human face stared back at them, despite the fact that they were still hours from intercept range. The transmission was crystal clear, defying the limitations of known faster-than-light communication. The human appeared to be female by their species standards, with short dark hair and eyes that seemed to hold depths of experience despite her apparent youth. When she spoke, it was in perfect coalition standard, a language that had never been included in any Earth transmission. Greetings, Harmony's Edge. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Prometheus. I know you have questions. I know you have fears. Both are justified. We need to talk, but not here. Follow us to the Void Scar. Come alone. What we have to share will change everything you think you know about the universe. You have 1 hour to decide. The transmission ended as abruptly as it began, leaving the diplomatic team in stunned silence. The humans knew they were coming. They knew their ship's name. They spoke their language. And most disturbing of all, they wanted to meet in the one place in the galaxy where the Coalition feared to tread. The truth unveiled the decision to follow the human vessel into the Void Scar went against every protocol in Coalition history. Yet here they were, the Harmony's Edge trembling as it crossed the threshold into that wounded region of space where stars seemed to flicker like dying candles, and the very fabric of reality grew thin. Ambassador Lithia felt her chlorophyll and fused cells react to the strange radiations that penetrated even their best shielding. Beside her, Dr. Urix monitored readings that defied scientific explanation, while Commander Hexus struggled to maintain his composure as his scales involuntarily shifted through the entire spectrum of colors. Ambassador Mays, the empathic cultural specialist, whispered, her voice strained, "I'm sensing something massive ahead, not the human ship. Something else, something ancient and patient." Before Lithia could respond, space itself seemed to part like a curtain, revealing the human vessel Prometheus in all its impossible glory. Detected from a distance, hadn't done it justice. The ship was indeed angular and aggressive in design, but it was also beautiful in a stark, purposeful way. More surprisingly, it wasn't alone. Surrounding the Prometheus were dozens of structures that hurt to perceive directly, geometric impossibilities that seemed to exist in more dimensions than the standard 4. They pulsed with an energy that registered on no instrument, yet everyone aboard the Harmony's Edge could feel it in their bones, or whatever equivalent their species possessed. By the architects, Urix breathed, his scientific skepticism crumbling. These are ancient structures, older than the Coalition, older than any known civilization. The communication system activated again, showing Captain Chen's face. Behind her, the bridge of the Prometheus was visible, and the Coalition team was shocked to see it crewed not just by humans, but by beings that didn't match any known species. "Welcome to the heart of the Scar," Chen said, her expression serious but not hostile. "I apologize for the deception and the dramatic meeting location, but we needed to be sure you'd come alone. And we needed to be here, and the Watchers can verify our words." Chen gestured to one of the beings behind her, a tall, ethereal figure that seemed to be made of condensed starlight. When it spoke, its voice resonated not through the communication system, but directly in their minds. "We are the Watchers," it said, its words carrying layers of meaning that threatened to overwhelm their consciousness. "We have observed, we have waited. The humans were not our first choice, but they were the right choice." Chen took control of the conversation again, perhaps sensing the Coalition team's distress at direct mental contact with the Watcher. 50 years ago, Earth received a message. Not the radio signals you detected, those were incidental. The real message came through quantum entanglement, directly to a small group of scientists working on theoretical physics. The Watchers had been observing all spacefaring species, waiting for one that could serve as a bridge. A bridge to what? Commander Hexus demanded, his military instincts still on high alert despite the overwhelming revelations. "To survival," Chen replied simply. "The universe is older and more dangerous than you know. There are things moving in the spaces between galaxies, ancient things that consume civilizations like yours without even noticing. The Watchers have held them back for eons, but they're dying. They needed successors." Zeph, who had remained silent until now, suddenly spoke up. "The human ship isn't a warship. Those protrusions aren't weapons." Chen smiled, the first warmth they'd seen from her. "Very perceptive. They're dimensional anchors." Prometheus isn't built for war against other species. It's designed to patrol the boundaries of reality itself, to fight things that exist partially in this dimension and partially in others. But why humans? Lithia asked, her diplomatic mind trying to process the implications. The Coalition has species with far longer spacefaring histories, more advanced technology. The Watcher moved forward, its form shifting and flowing. Because humans are paradoxes. They are young enough to adapt, old enough to understand sacrifice. They wage war against themselves yet unite against external threats. They fear the darkness yet explore it anyway. They are fragile yet refuse to break. Every simulation, every prediction said they would destroy themselves, yet they persist. This defiance of probability is what we need. Ken gestured to her mixed crew. These beings aren't from your coalition or any government you know. They're refugees from realities where the barriers failed, where the ancient things broke through. We've been training together, learning to use technologies that merge science with something older, preparing for a war that most of the galaxy doesn't even know is coming. You're asking us to trust you with the defense of reality itself based on a story? Mister. Hex is challenged, though his tone had lost much of its earlier hostility. No, Chen replied. We're asking you to look at the evidence. She manipulated controls on her command chair, and suddenly the Harmony's Edge's sensors came alive with data they couldn't previously detect. The void scar wasn't a wound in space, it was a patch, a massive repair where something had tried to break through eons ago. And it was weakening. The barriers are failing across the galaxy, Chen continued. The void scar is just the most visible. There are 17 other weak points, 3 of them in coalition space. Without intervention, you have perhaps 50 standard years before the first breach. Dr. Yerrick studied the data with growing alarm. This is consistent with certain anomalies we've detected but couldn't explain. The quantum fluctuations near the Helix Nebula, the disappearing stars in Sector 12. All symptoms of barrier degradation, Chen confirmed. The Watchers held it back alone for millions of years, but they're down to their last few thousand. They need the younger races to take over, but not as servants, as partners. Ambassador Lithia felt the weight of the moment. This wasn't just a first contact situation. It was a fundamental shift in the understanding of the universe's nature. What do you need from us? Believe us, first of all, Chen said. Then help us convince the Coalition that humanity isn't a threat but a shield. We need resources, yes, but more importantly, we need recruits. The barrier defense can't be maintained by one species alone. The Watcher spoke again, its mental voice softer this time. We chose to reveal ourselves to humanity because they were isolated enough that failure wouldn't doom the galaxy, yet promising enough that success was possible. They exceeded our hopes. Now the choice passes to you. Will you join this effort, or will you face the coming darkness unaware and unprepared? The fear, the determination, the terrible burden of knowledge, it's all genuine. A soft alarm chimed on the Prometheus. Chen checked her displays and frowned. We have a problem. 3 coalition warships just entered the Scar perimeter. I'm guessing your council got nervous when you didn't report in. Hexus checked his own systems. It's the 3rd Fleet's advanced squadron. Admiral Kor won't hesitate to fire if he perceives a threat. Then we need to convince him quickly, Chen said. Can you show them what you showed us? The vision of what happens if the barriers fall, the Watchers form pulsed with uncertainty. Such revelation can break minds unprepared for the truth. Then prepare them, Lithia said decisively. Send a message to Admiral Kor. Tell him to stand down and prepare his command staff for a Priority 1 diplomatic briefing. Include verification code Omega 77. 77. That's a reality threat authentication code, Hexus said, surprised. It hasn't been used since the Cascade incident 3 centuries ago. Because we haven't faced a reality threat since then, Lithia replied. She turned to Chen. Captain, I'm prepared to recommend full coalition support for your mission, but I need something in return. Full transparency. No more secrets, no hidden agendas. If we're to trust humanity with our survival, we need to know everything. Chen stood from her command chair and extended her hand, a gesture Lithia recognized from her study of human customs. Ambassador, you have my word as a human and as someone who's seen what's coming. Full transparency, As Lithia extended her own appendage to complete the handshake, she heard the Watcher's voice one more time, speaking to all of them. The compact is witnessed. The torch passes to a new generation. May you burn bright enough to hold back the dark. The surrounding structures pulsed with brilliant light, and for a moment, everyone present saw it, the vast web of barriers that protected their reality, the ancient things pressing against them from outside, and the thin line of defenders that stood between existence and oblivion. When the vision faded, Admiral Kor's fleet had arrived, weapons powered but not targeted. The old Gorvani warrior's face appeared on the communication screen, his expression torn between duty and confusion. "Ambassador Lithia," he growled. "Your authentication code demands I stand down, but I need an explanation." Lithia straightened, feeling the weight of the moment. "Admiral, we're about to rewrite everything we thought we knew about the universe. The humans haven't come as conquerors. They've come as guardians, and we need to decide if we'll stand with them or stand aside." Over the next hours, the truth was revealed to the Coalition fleet, then to the Council, and eventually to the galaxy at large. The revelation that reality itself needed active defense, that ancient beings had been protecting them all along, and that humanity had been chosen to lead this defense force, a fundamental shift in galactic consciousness. Some species reacted with fear, others with skepticism, but many with a sense of purpose. The Coalition, which had existed primarily as a trade and mutual defense organization, suddenly had a greater calling. The Prometheus became the first of many hybrid vessels, combining human adaptability, Watcher knowledge, and Coalition resources. The mysterious structures in the Void Scar revealed themselves to be training grounds and weapon forges, creating tools that operated on principles that merged physics with metaphysics. Captain Chen worked closely with Ambassador Lithia to establish the Barrier Guard, a multi-species force trained to detect and respond to reality breaches. The human approach to warfare, which had so concerned the Coalition, proved invaluable when facing entities that didn't follow the rules of conventional existence. Within a year, the first breach was successfully contained near the Helix Nebula. The entity that tried to push through was something that existed primarily as malevolent information, rewriting the laws of physics around it. It took the combined efforts of human intuition, Nexori discipline, Floran, biological adaptability, and Watcher technology to force it back. As the galaxy adapted to its new understanding, Earth became not a feared military power but a respected training center. Humans, with their unique ability to face existential horror and keep fighting, became the instructors for a generation of barrier defenders. The real war was just beginning. Ancient things that had waited eons for the Watchers to weaken were stirring, testing the barriers with increasing frequency. But now they faced something they hadn't expected. Young races working together, combining their strengths to create something greater than the sum of their parts. And at the center of it all was the truth that had brought them together. Sometimes, the most important battles aren't fought between species or nations, but against forces that threaten existence itself. The humans hadn't come as conquerors. They had come as teachers, showing the galaxy that the greatest strength comes not from weapons or technology, but from the willingness to stand together against the darkness, no matter how impossible the odds. The panic that had initially gripped the Coalition at the detection of a human warship had transformed into determination. The galaxy had found its guardians, and they were all of them, together, standing watch against the night.